All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of Happy Hour with HatchMan. Super pumped today because I have Bryce. So welcome Bryce to the show. Bryce Fransen. Who are you?
Who am I, man? That's a great question. I started out with this, but dude, I'm excited, bro. I love coming down here. It's actually my first time to come out to your
welcome to the bar,
spot, man.
HatchMan bar,
which is crazy because I've seen probably thousands of videos. It seems like at this point, of like this, and then be able to like come in and actually see the environment. It's pretty sweet. Super excited. I am, like you said, man. I'm Bryce, dude.
Bryce Fransen, lending giant.
It's interesting, man. I mean, I'm a husband, a business owner, entrepreneur, man, just coach, just trying to work with people like you, man. Just trying to help change the world one person at a time.
Well, definitely. Well, dude, so yeah, Bryce is our branch manager at All Western. He is one of the big reasons I decided to make the move to All Western, as you know. We'll get into that story in a minute, but this is a happy hour, so I got to make a cocktail first. So I'm going to make you one of my old fashions. We're going to get a little tricky. I'm going to teach you a couple of tricks here. So this is sushi rice.
Okay.
We're going to put a tad of sushi rice in the mixture, and what it does is it kind of changes the overall texture of the cocktail. And then in this old fashioned, I'm going to be using two different kinds of whiskey. This is a rye whiskey from Willet. I don't know if you ever had that stuff. It's a really good rye whiskey.
That smells really good.
Small batch, anytime they put the numbers on there and it's like, it's a one-of-a-kind bottle. So this is one of my favorites.
So why the combination of rye and wheat?
So rye whiskey, in my opinion, is a little bit, got kind of a spice to it. So it's kind of got a little bit of a bite with the rye in there.
Yeah.
Whereas the wheat whiskey is smoother. So the two of them together kind of just blend really nicely. So it kind of is the best of both worlds. So I've been experimenting with different whiskeys. And then for old fashions, classic, it's just whiskey, simple syrup, and then bitters. This simple syrup I think you'll like. This is basically Dr. Pepper with a little bit of sugar added down to it. So this is a Dr. Pepper concentrate syrup.
Is it homemade?
Homemade.
How do you make homemade syrup like that?
So, I mean, simple syrup is super easy to make. It's literally just 1 part water, 1 part sugar that you boil down and then let it, cool.
Yeah.
And so a similar idea, except for this one was just Dr. Pepper boiled down into like a concentrate with a little bit more sugar added. So yeah, Dr. Pepper simple syrup. And then chicory pecan bitters. So these bitters have chicory coffee and Louisiana pecans. Really good bitters.
Ooh, that smells really good.
Right?
So that does give you like that coffee flavor. It kind of makes me think of like almost like a smoked coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a smoked coffee.
Kind of like a
an
smoked
interesting
coffee.
concept.
Like I like kind of bitter and sweet. So
bitter and sweet.
Bitter and sweet, but like it'll all blend together really nicely.
Oh, look at that. Look at that skill.
Oh yeah, that's what I do down here. Just experiment with cocktails.
That's what's called the HatchMan bar.
HatchMan bar.
So, kind of speaking on that, like obviously Braden Hatch, dude. Like, where did HatchMan? Like, how did HatchMan come into place? Because it just works, right?
It really does, right? Like, and it was kind of funny how it all went down, right? So when I first started working at Loan Depot. It's okay, we can say the name, it's fine. So when I first started working there, I was really trying to figure out, I was doing videos, I was getting into branding and stuff like that, but I was trying to figure out if I was going to use my own name, because like I feel like Braden Hatch is just like too hard to say. Like I don't know. Like I was getting in my own head on like what I wanted my brand to be, and so like I was playing with all these different names, and I just really didn't know. I was like, well, maybe just like the Hatch team, but like that seemed too professional almost. Like it seemed like
generic.
It sounded too corporate-y, generic, like Hatch, like the Hatch loan team. And I was like, what about just like HatchMan? Like, 'cause I'm Braden Hatch, man. So like I was literally talking with my manager at the time, and I was like, I like that, HatchManLoans. That has a nice ring to it. And so I just stuck with it, and that was it.
And that created Happy Hour with HatchMan.
And that created Happy Hour with HatchMan, HatchMan bar. It just went down a road after that.
Which is awesome, but like I said, it plays really well to the name, and everything just matches up.
No, and it fits my style because like I'm clearly not a business suit corporate type of mortgage lender. So
the man of the people, man.
Man of the people. So then it expanded into HatchManLoans, your friendly neighborhood loan officer, and ultimately that's what got me to leave so I could focus on, just building my own personal brand a little bit bigger. So
that's it, man. Dude, we gotta try this.
Yeah, try it. Let me know how you like it.
Gotta try this amazing cocktail. This is a specialty, the HatchMan bar.
I'm gonna make myself one.
Cheers to the people.
Cheers, brother. Whoa,
man. That is delicious.
Awesome. I like that.
Holy crap.
Again, not too sweet. I like just a touch of sweetness in my...
It has a little bit of that. It has a little bit of bite.
Yep.
It's really smooth. The kind of smoke, it's almost like it has like this coffee smoked liqueur aftertaste.
That's my vibe.
And I feel like I'm trying to talk all professional because my wife's in wine marketing and she's over here like can name off every little floral essence and, and all these little things.
Yeah, it's just fun. So like I don't know. I've always enjoyed making cocktails because like I've always been into cooking, but like for stuff like this, social settings, it's difficult to like make a fucking meal like and go all crazy, but this is like the best of both worlds. I get to kind of still play with ingredients, but it's fun and you get a little buzz while you're at it. So it's a win-win.
So it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Nobody needs to know what time we're doing the podcast recording. So that makes it legit.
It's appropriate happy hour time.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, bro.
Last one.
Ice down. Hatchman, Iceman down. So we joined forces all Western. Was it October?
Since October I came over. Yep.
Dang, so it's almost, not quite 6 months.
Almost 6 months I've been here.
But like, and I think that was one of the big things, like you wanted to build your brand, you wanted to kind of elevate kind of the team around you and obviously like trying to put pieces together and knowing what that looks like. What do you think has been kind of the biggest thing for you as you continue to scale, as we continue to like, obviously we have conversations all the time about it, but.
Yeah, man. So, it's been a different, definitely different change from, what I was doing going into like, an office every day, being in a retail space and just, it's the same, but it's different, right? So like, part of my frustrations being where I was before was, I'm a big believer in momentum, I guess is the real word. And I felt like things had just kind of gotten kind of stale. It was a great place for me at that time in my life. Again, I went from a full-on bank loan officer, that's a whole different world, to the retail world, which, that was night and day difference. All of a sudden I can go above 45% DTI. Like, it was really exciting stuff when I first got there. And then the ability to have a little bit more freedom with the marketing that I like to do. And again, I can film it here in the bar and I can have fun with it, make it my own. And so it worked really well while I was there, but I feel like I kind of got to the point where I just had learned all I could, and I was kind of stuck, right? Like I had kind of plateaued over there, and I couldn't really break through to what I was trying to accomplish next. Yeah. Part of that was, I had a video that went viral on Instagram, which resulted in just a shit ton of leads, and so I brought the idea to my then manager at the time and told him exactly what I wanted, and he was like, yeah, we can do that, but again, it just wasn't quite the vibe and energy I was looking for. And so I know if I've told this story to you, but I literally I was just kind of feeling stuck and trying to figure out, do I even want to keep working in mortgage? Do I want to it's been tough. It's been a wild ride, but I do genuinely love it. And so I literally was dead asleep and I had a freaking dream about it. I had a dream that I could make it the way that I wanted it to, and it was really, really clear. And it was one of those, it was so clear in my head that it woke me up. It was probably 1 o'clock in the morning. I got out of bed and started writing down everything that I had pictured, right? So I had this idea of just a new seamless mortgage process for from the time that the client inquires, they want information about a loan to how smooth it needs to go and what that process would look like from start to finish. And incorporating, things like AI and automation and stuff like that. But a big part of that was I knew that I had to be around the right people to help me build that sort of thing. And I just felt like where I was, I couldn't really do that. And so again, you were one of the names that popped up as I was putting this vision down. I wrote down my current manager's names. I was like, okay, well, they could help me with these aspects, and you weren't even working there at the time. We had previously worked together, but at the time I was just for some reason your name popped in my head. I'm like, and I think it goes back to that first event that we attended. It was actually Loan Depot's event. It was Chris's the breakthrough event, because we'd only been connecting on like Instagram and I think it was just Instagram and Facebook at that time, just kind of DMing each other. But like, dude, you have such a way with people. Like when I first met you, I was like, I literally never met you in my life, and I felt like we'd known each other for years. I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? Like, it was just, good to chat with you. So, and you had that energy of that growth mindset, right? Like I have an idea, I want to take it to the next level. When I told you the idea, not only were you 100% on board with it, you gave me kind of some of the missing pieces that I didn't really have to make it all work together. You brought in the idea of more than a mortgage and bringing up that concept, which I think is just one of the coolest things that exists. So I'd love to hear more about your more than a mortgage concept and where that comes from.
Dude, I straight up got like some goosebumps.
Yeah. So I got my cocktail now.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, brother. Now it's a happy hour.
Don't worry, the third cocktail is not for Jesus. It's for the marketing expert behind the scenes.
Jesus. One for my homies.
Dude, that's good, man.
That's delightful.
Isn't that good?
It is really good.
No, dude, it's you know what I just, it's funny, like when I reference back to this more than a mortgage concept, I think the thing that was really interesting is just, I think we all had kind of a lot of the same epiphanies just in different times and pieces. And honestly, I think everything is timing. Like everything is so timing. And again, for me, like I really believe like this, the universe, higher power, how it is, just like will help you line things up and help you connect with the right people. And as I'm kind of sharing this, I think of this story of, this is a really good friend of mine. He's a real estate agent. He was in the Bay Area, he's in Southern California. And his biggest thing has always been like funnels and cold marketing and just reaching out.
This is Bader?
Yeah. And it's just, but it's never been, hey, let me go connect with somebody and just like create a relationship and then see where it goes. And nothing wrong. Like he's really good at that. It's just, he's like, hey, I'm going to go build this online funnel system. I'm going to create these workflows. Yeah. People will come in to me and I'll just be the best person for them. Yeah. And he got like, you want to talk about avatar? Yo, that guy's avatar is to a T.
He knows exactly
who he's talking to, right?
He knows who his audience is.
Amazing aspect of his marketing skill set. But that's never the way that I've built my business for me, right? Like, it's always been, hey, let me network, let me connect to this loan officer.
Referrals.
Like, we're at different companies, different it was always like, the more people I know, the more things and pieces and information I can bring in, the more concepts I can learn to understand. And so I've been doing that since I was like 18, 19. That's been just kind of my realm. And then when I got into banking and real estate and finance and investments and business banking, and just kind of been my nature of the beast to really stay in contact with, like-minded individuals.
Right.
And I remember, it was back in 2020, I got into the financial services space, including wealth management, assets protection, insurance, all this type of stuff where we could just add in layers of education. Okay. And I didn't do anything with it for like 2 years. Okay. Purely because honestly, 2021, 2022, you can make $30K a month. Like,
dude,
it was literally
printing money in those days.
We were like the federal government for a minute there. Mm-hmm. And it was, but then end of 22, and I remember, came in because we moved out here August 22, we closed on our house out in Goodyear.
Yep.
Right. And then we officially were in the market. And I remember it was December of 2022. The market had shifted in June. So all of a sudden, instead of closing $2 to $3 million a month, it was like, what? Where did my pipeline just stop?
Everything
right?
The
it
phone,
was literally like
ringing.
It was just a wall, and it
went from a faucet to just like
it was crazy. And I remember I lost, mind you, like it probably made 80% of my income in the first 6 months, right? Like most of us, and then gets to December, I lost $40,000 in commissions in one day. I got rate shopped, I got outpriced, I had 3 or 4 real estate agents yelling at me for things they knew that I couldn't control.
Right,
which is the worst part.
Oh, dude.
They just need an event, which is cool, NBD. And I was like, wow, is this literally going to be my life for the next fucking 30 years? Right. Like, is this literally all I'm worth? Is literally this? Yeah. Like, I said, something's got to change. So I actually called a mentor of mine on the way home and I call it word vomit, right? Yep. I just word vomited on him and told him, I was like, dude, like, there has to be a way to elevate our conversations, to make our impact transformation. Like all these concepts, he's like, dude, you got to sit down. You got to understand how we educate and like showcase this. And so I said, fine. Timing is everything. So me and Lauren sat down and like went over this entire education platform. And it was like, Lauren turns to me, she's like, why the hell have you not been doing this the last 2 years? This is exactly what you want to do to help people attract and like change.
It just and like, fit what you were looking for.
I'm the one with the cookie, like, you know, when it came down to it. So fast forward, it's been, a little over a year of like truly implementing the process.
Yeah.
And like the more and more I got into it, that's like the closer and closer I got to making a move and realizing, you know, for me, there was a big issue in the leadership space.
100%.
Where I felt like heads just went in the sand, you know, asses up. And it was like, there's no momentum. There's no positivity. I was like, I feel like I'm the most positive person in certain situations. Like, that means that I've capped. If I'm the leader in positivity in an environment. And if
you're the one elevating those around you, who's there to elevate you? And because again, I feel the same way. Like I want to be challenged. I want to, you know, in leadership and just in sales, like if you're the one leading the way, which is great, there's nothing wrong with being number one.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not saying I don't love that, but from another point, it's like if I'm number one, I can't learn anything else, and even though we might be doing great for what the outside world thinks, it's our own little personal plateau, and it's like I don't want to be in that spot where I'm the number one person. I want to go somewhere else where I can learn and become even better. Yeah. So again, that was part of my reasons too.
And I think that's like, you know, again, like surrounding myself. I mean, and talk about humble, right? I think, and so we've run with this concept. It's created so much opportunity. Yeah. And I think it's changed just the way that we can help. Like, and it's so cool because I think that it's, you know, it's that next step that, you know, especially with, you know, we help a lot of first time home buyers that are, you know, buying a house for the very first time. Right. Yeah. And it's a complicated process. Like especially right now, like I don't know about you, but I feel like every single deal right now, no matter how easy it might start off, like it's so hard to get loans done right now. Yeah. And so and so if we're feeling that as professionals who've been doing this for years, like we want to make sure that doesn't go to the client, that they're not feeling that way. It should be a very smooth, fun experience for them. They don't need to know about all this back end headache garbage that we have to deal with. And so it's like, how do we find a way to do that? And I think that's where the value comes in, because it's like, if we can make it easy and make it a great process for the client, and blow it out of the water, which again is just doing our jobs, right? We're not doing anything crazy. If we just do our jobs well at that, then they're going to be happy. But you have taken it a step further by saying, okay, we're going to knock this loan out of the park for you. It's almost like a byproduct. Like we're going to go ahead and do this loan for you instead of making it the main center of attention. Like, yeah, we'll get this done, but let's talk about your, you know, now that you own a home, what are your next steps? Do you have life insurance? Do you have plans for if you or your spouse died, who's going to pay that mortgage? Like, you know, getting into those difficult, tough conversations that, you know, not everyone wants to have, but you need to think about them. You have to, especially entering into home ownership, there's a million other things, and we're all just supposed to magically know like what the tax advantages are and like how to handle all of that stuff. Like, and so by educating like that, that's just such a huge value add that we can give to our clients, because it's like, yeah, we're going to do your loan for you, but let's set you up for success so that this is just, you know, this is just the next step onto whatever it is you're trying to build in life. So I mean, and I think you nailed it on the head, man. It's like, and that's a huge piece. And so I just did a buyer consultation. So I actually helped the parents of this people. They bought in the William Ryan right next to my home. Oh, nice. And he's a dentist, and so it's their son and their daughter-in-law. The daughter-in-law is actually the best friend to my neighbor across the street from me. Yeah. Who, again, we've done everything for their family. We've helped set up their 6-month-old kid. Like, you know, by his like mid-late 30s, he should be a cash millionaire. It's like these are so cool things to talk about and change people's lives, man. It's transformational versus transactional. That was the concept that literally bothered me. Yeah. Because no matter what, right? I think the stats like 18% of all clients will reuse the same loan officer. Right. Yeah, will reuse the same everything. It's very small. So if 1 out of every 5 people come back to you, right? Like, how do you stay engaged other than like, let's do your annual mortgage review? Like, let's do that. But like, hey, just so you know, like your whole thing is important. Oh, you had a kid, or, oh my gosh, you guys needed to upgrade, need to downsize. Let's do that. But if I could also create, you know, more arrows inside of people's quivers, and we could give them the opportunity, then not only do we help the clients at a higher level, we can provide additional income for the team, which if if I'm not having to, like, oh my gosh, I need to pay my bills this month, like something's happening and I need to make this 150 basis points or whatever it is.
Commission breath.
Yeah, the commission breath doesn't have to come out because, look, you have a way to help them over here because they already trust you, they already like you, they all want to help you, and now we can take this piece. Man, you know what? Let's actually do this, and you know, let's actually give you a percent basis point back.
Right.
Let me give you just the best deal.
Let's help you.
Give you the deal that your family needs, because it's not a big. And so I think it's always like, how do I serve the person in front of me the absolute best? And I think that authenticity comes off. And I think, like, and we talk about it too, right? I don't know if I've said this, but there's a stat that talks about, like, a study. I think Brendan Burchard talks about this.
Yeah.
Authenticity vibrates physically, energy-wise, higher than love.
I believe it.
Which is, if you can showcase like an authentic reason why you're there to help that person, they like literally they will feel attached and like kind of an emotional connection to you.
Dude, and I think that's true. I think we just, even as individuals, like, you know, when you're dealing with someone, you can tell if they truly care about what you're trying to do, or if they're just, you know, again, you're just a number, a transaction, or just, you know, whatever. But again, how you treat people, you know, they can tell. It makes a difference. So
we want to make a big splash. You know, like I think the mission at one point, I was like, I want to help like elevate 1,000 loan officers the way they do business. Yeah. And then I've gotten around people that have bigger and bigger visions than that. And now I'm like, 10,000.
Exactly, right? And that's what's fun about it. Like, we have our own personal goals, and even though they might seem kind of high, it's like, but then when you meet other people, like I always say, if you're the smartest one in the room, you need to find a new room. Like, you need to be somewhere else. Because you need people to help challenge those thought processes, but also, you know, help you get there at the same time. Like I was telling, you know, my wife when I made this move, I'm like, you know, it's just so great being around people that want to win, but also for the right reasons, right? Like everything, you know, my previous company, it was just like, if you don't get loans, then we're going to have to fire people because we don't have enough people to hire all these people. And it's just like, like that's such a horrible tactic. Like, it's like, well, but you're still getting paid. So like, I don't know. I just have a problem with people that just push you to do things without giving you an appropriate why. And that why is to, like, for, you know, people that aren't even part of your circle or can't even help. Like, again, I feel bad. I don't ever want people to get fired, but you know, that's not a way to help motivate your employees. It's like, if you don't do this, we're just going to keep firing people.
You're like, okay,
like, let's talk about innovative ways to help us help more people. Like, and that, I felt the vision with you guys right away. Like, you know, meeting with Chris, our CEO, everybody has such a customer focused mindset. And it's like, like, sure, you know, this is our job. We obviously have to make money and 100%. Live our lives too, but that's not the main goal, right? The goal is that we can help as many people as possible, that we can, you know, do the right thing for them. And again, having that flexible commission portion of it as well is helpful. It's like, hey, if we can need to help the client out a little more here, we can. So it's just, I feel like everything we've done, all the moves we've made have all been to help better the customer experience, which is ultimately what pays our bills anyway. It's just by taking good care of people. And so if we can do that better, it's a win for all of us.
It's a win-win, man. I think, you know, what's funny is, I don't know if I've ever said this on like a public recording or anything like that, but I interviewed 18 different companies before we made the move to All Western.
I remember you telling me.
Right?
You went with a lot of people.
And the reason for that was because I wanted to find a place that allowed us to truly build something that supported the vision and mission, but then also was literally like leadership driven.
Right.
And so I think, you know, talk to all the big, like the Fairways, even like mom and pop brokers, like all these places. My biggest frustration was literally always like, oh, well, our products do this. And I'm like, oh, we have the best tech. And I was like, bro, what about me? Like, you're not asking about me. And I think, like, even when, you know, when we hired Jess, right, to kind of come on and really help support your team aspects, like, you know, she wants to do some big things, all stuff. But I said, look, she came from a not so great environment. I said, look, my biggest thing of this is you can do loans. That's great. We have an entry level conversation. I said, but like, I focus on the core values of helping someone develop their 5 F's, like their fulfillment formula. I want to help you with whatever your faith is, your family, your finances, your fitness, your fun, like mental strength, fitness, like all these things that I'm like, if we can get better in those core values, we become better people. We attract more that we want. We take the action. We create, like, you create this momentum versus like, hey, if you don't get loans, you don't do this. I don't think one time since we've started the branch, I've been like, hey, you need to get more loans. Otherwise we can't, like, like, look guys, like, I want to help support you, but obviously there is a P&L aspect to it. So like, if you want this stuff, we want to help with marketing, then we need to go figure out ways to get more deals. Of course, that'll happen. And I'm not concerned about that at all.
Yeah, it's already happening. Like,
we have leadership behind us that are like, all in. I mean, I had my one-on-one with Chris this last week.
Yeah.
Haven't talked to him since my mom passed. It's just been crazy. Man, like it's just like literally getting on and just talking to a guy that you've just known for forever.
I know.
Like he just is so genuine, man, and just loves it. He's all into it. He's like, hey, what are we doing? Like I actually haven't even brought this up I mentioned to Eli, but he's like, hey, like let's do, I think we're looking like April 19th. Let's do like, I'll come out, let's do a little gathering with the team for a couple hours. Let's go top off to a happy hour.
That's great.
You know, we're just gonna create this culture. And like we create a culture, we create a place of winning mindset and concepts and all that stuff. Of course, everyone's gonna have their hiccups. Things are gonna happen. We're gonna have good days, bad days. We're gonna have stressful loan scenarios. We're gonna have shit go sideways. And I want you to talk about the Save file. Like we're gonna have stuff happen.
Right. Yeah,
but if we can come together and know that like, dude, we're all here and it's just together. Like you lose. Like I lose even more so in my opinion, right? Because I'm so committed to the individuals. And that was why honestly, like our goal was to get to like 20 LOs by the end of Q1.
Right.
Obviously stuff happened, so I didn't get to like do that. But then we hit like 9 and I was like, no. Like we can go really, really wide, but that's working really hard.
Right.
Let's go really, really deep so we can work really, really smart. Right. So now it's like, okay, we have the core. Let's go deep with our people. Let's make sure it makes sense. Like let's get Braden back to his 10 plus fundings a month, get that system flowing. Like, and then it's just like we can build. And then obviously over time, we'll do some, I wanted to call like maybe money and mortgages or something like, let's do education classes for past clients, for agents, teach them, like provide so much educational value. They can't help but just want to be a part of the ecosystem.
I agree. And it's like, and that's the name of the game, right? It's like give everything away as much as we can for free. Like we're literally just giving information for free, trying to help people, trying to help loan officers get better and, and also helping our clients. But I think the biggest thing is like, everyone here is so focused on the business side of it rather than in the day-to-day. Like obviously there's the day-to-day loan stuff that we all have to do, but like every conversation that we're having is like, well, let's talk about, we talk about individual files obviously, but it's more about like long-term growth. And that's such a big difference because like if you can focus on how to make your business more efficient, how to put more time back in your day, but also providing a better experience for your clients at the same time. Like that's the name of the game right there. Like that's what we're all trying to do. Aren't we all trying to make more money with working less while still helping people? Like that's the whole plan. So
sounds like a pretty good sauce.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So let's keep that going.
I have one tattoo that I really want to get. The one tattoo I want to get is I want to kind of have like this shoulder / like maybe back thing.
Okay.
So my spirit animal is a grizzly bear, like a bear, right? So obviously anytime you see me on like the camera, that's why there's a bear behind me. The reason for the bear is actually, it goes back. So my grandfather passed away at 45, 6 months before I was born. Right. And so literally to the day, he died March 29th, 1991. I was born September 29th, 1991. You look at pictures that are like when we're in our teenage years, I'm like, holy creepiness. Like it literally is the same. Like we literally look like the same human.
You're the reincarnated.
And he was like a big guy, all this stuff. Well, I didn't know this, but growing up, so my aunt and uncle raised me, playing sports, all this stuff. Like I wasn't quite the offensive lineman I am now, but I was still really tall. In 8th grade, I was 6'4".
What? In 8th grade?
In 8th grade, I was 6'4".
Shit.
And so I remember people like, dude, it's like having a bear on the court, or I played basketball, I played baseball, softball, like a little bit of everything else, like volleyball. Like it's like a bear. So like one of my little nicknames was Bear.
Yeah.
And my number growing up when I played sports was 44. Okay. Purely because I think they just literally ran out of size.
Yeah.
So like, well, the 44 jersey works.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah,
it was like the XL or whatever at the time. And I come back to find out, like actually I think I was like 18 and I reconnected with my mom. And I think I actually found out, she's like, oh, well, your grandfather's nickname was the Bear. And I was like, what?
No
way. I was like, my nickname, like through all of sports was Bear. And then she's like, yeah, well, in his number, she showed me a picture. She's like, his number was 44.
No way.
I was like, you gotta be fucking shitting me. Like, no way.
That's crazy.
And so it was just this creepy connection of like just me and my grandfather. And so the Bear is always for me to just be like, look, no matter whether they're here or they're not, like they're always something kind of like watching over you.
That's cool.
And so kind of like just ran with this whole bear theme, and it's like, so on my tattoo, the reason I want this is I want like the silhouette or kind of like the back of like a bear with kind of open, and I kind of want it to have like 3 claw marks, like looking like it's kind of ripping into the arm a little bit. Yeah. And inside each one, like probably in one of them, I'll have some sort of Bible verse or like a saying for me that just really hits home. There's a few that I've thought about. I haven't finalized it. Yeah. The second one that I would probably have is something to do with just more like my family. And then the third one I want to leave open for probably like my kids.
Love that, dude.
And so that way at some point, like I'm like, the most important things really comes down to it.
You got it all right there.
Yeah, and it would just be a bear with the 3 claw marks coming out of it. I just don't know how the heck it would actually look. I just had visions for a long time.
That's how it starts, man. Your first tattoo, you typically, you think out a whole lot, it has all this meaning. And then the more you get, you're just like, I don't know, octopuses are kind of cool. Throw one of theirs on there. Like, seems legit. Like
bear, octopus.
Right, yeah.
Same thing.
That's how this one happened. I was like, yeah, octopus are kind of cool. Fill my arm out with that. So, but that's how it started for me. I had this whole idea planned. And it's funny you mentioned the grandpa thing because that's why I got the koi fish. It's for both my grandparents because I kind of feel like both my grandparents kind of raised me. I lived with my dad's dad. Like we lived in their house growing up, and his name was Koi, so koi fish. And then my mom's dad, he was just an avid fisherman, and he had a koi pond in his backyard. Like he just loved koi fish. He was fishing all the time. So I got the koi fish initially for that. Was to for my grandpa Koi and the fish for my other grandpa. And then I started looking into like the legends of like the like Japanese culture of like the koi fish. So the legend of the koi fish is the koi fish that swims upstream through the waterfall turns into the dragon. And so it symbolizes this whole, if you work hard enough at anything, you can become whatever you want. Like so, swimming upstream, accomplish your goals, become a dragon. And I found that out after I had tattooed the koi fish. Like I didn't even know the full legend of it after I got the tattoo. So I was like, oh man. So I had set a personal goal. Like I was like, okay, when I make $1 million, I want to tattoo a big ass dragon on my back. And so that was like as the koi fish, becoming the dragon. So long story short, 2020, I started working on a dragon tattoo on my back. So.
That's it, bro.
Still working on it. It's not done yet.
That's a big ass piece, literally, no pun intended. What I love about that too is you kind of think of that meaning behind it, and I think of like the bear. Yeah. Right. So you think of, dude, like bear cubs look like they're drunk. Right. Like they're just like dorky. They kind of flop. Like the bear just kind of like goes through. But the biggest thing about a bear is it's very alert. Yeah. It's highly like protective and kind of crazy. But if you trigger or piss off a bear, poke the bear, that is the last thing you want to be in front of when it runs towards you. And I feel like that's something where I can look ahead and like look at the goals, look at the things, and I'm like, I'm gonna be the pissed off bear. Yep. Because behind the scenes, people are like, oh, you're like just a cuddly like bear. I'm like, yes. Until 90% of the time, don't piss me off or don't get in the way of the things that I'm trying to help accomplish for my family. Yep. And it just became like this thing because they can snap and just instantly become like the most ferocious animal on the planet. Right. No, so it's like so funny to see like the different kind of piggybacks to that. That's wild, man. That's
well, no, so I do want to talk about that because that's something that I've talked about with you more than anyone else in like, leadership positions and, work career type stuff. Everyone's always focused on the career aspect of everything. But you have always talked about the work-life balance and kind of putting everything together. So what's your philosophy on that? Because you're a pretty young dude, and when I was your age, like I didn't think about family at all. Like I was just working nonstop, and I'm realizing it now that I'm older that you have to have some sort of a work-life balance, otherwise you can burn yourself out real fast. And so is that something that happened to you that made you kind of figure that out, or have you just always had this concept that you want to, have this nice work-life balance?
I think life is in seasons. Okay. Right. And so I think I would agree. You make it sound like I'm so young.
You are young, dude.
32, bro. And
okay, I guess it's not that much younger.
What, 8 years?
Yeah, I'll be 39 in April.
39. Dude, we're 7 years apart.
That's not that bad.
So you were graduating high school when I was going into it. You're getting into college, MBD.
No big deal.
My youngest brother, my oldest brother from me is 7 years older.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I think it goes back to a lot of things. Like I look at like the start of my career path. At 18, I moved to my parents' house. I started working. And then at 18/19, I got in my first sales position and made a lot of money really, really fast and then blew it all. And then had my first girlfriend and do all this stuff. And so I kind of have always been in these sort of sales positions. I remember after about two years of being fully commissioned, doing my own thing, I went back into the workforce positions, and I literally remember like the first couple of weeks I cried. I was like, wow, did I fail? Did I lose? Like all this stuff. I'm 19, bro, right? Life is over.
Right, yeah.
And so fast forward, like, my early 20s, I got married. My mid 20s, I got divorced, had really quick success in corporate banking. And then I kind of hit this like, well, let me go back and figure it out. So then I worked really, really hard to kind of get to a position where we're at. And it's not so much just to like make the money. Right. It was this concept of fulfillment. Like, and I think if we're only focused on just making money, then we're going to sacrifice our fitness, or we're going to sacrifice our relationships. And I don't know, it's just a core concept of just like that fulfillment formula, or wanting to create like a lifestyle you want. Like, I looked at people that were 5, 10, 20 years down the road, and I was like, you probably don't make the money I want. You definitely don't have the marriage that I want, and your kids don't like you. Like, if I help someone make $500,000, or I make $1 million, but my wife hates me, that sounds like a horrible life to me.
What's the point?
Right?
Yeah.
So I think there was always some innate personality for me, but I think I also just surrounded myself with a lot of mentorship since I was young. And they always kind of had like this mix, and I saw, okay, well, you make a lot of money, but then you have this relationship, or these things happened, and just kind of always had like a guiding compass and wanting to create that. Yeah. And I want to help as many people on, like, especially in the business aspect, is just like, let's just try to build this as much as possible together.
Do you think your first marriage had anything to do with that? Like, going through that so fast, just being like, kind of jumped into it too quick? And
yes,
again, not to get too personal here, but.
Oh, bro, I'm an open book, man. Like, this. Like, yeah, I mean, so we met when I was 22, got married at 23.
Okay.
And I was always ambitious, always driven, and she just wanted to put me in a box, to be straight up, right? And that box just eventually I like oozed out of the box in more ways than one. When we got divorced, I was 425 pounds, about 100 pounds less now, maybe a little bit. Since getting married with Lauren, I'm pretty sure I've gained a little bit. But
it happens, brother.
But it was just that thing. I saw like, wow, I saw what I didn't want. I saw the relationship that I did. I lived the relationship I didn't want to have.
Right.
And I think when you do that, you become so committed to becoming who you want to become, so you can be with the person you're supposed to be with.
Agreed.
Right? Yeah. Whether it has access. I mean, we met on Match.com, bro. Like, what? Like, what higher power is watching that to like text each other? You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, what the heck? So I definitely think it had a big impact, because I was like, man, at the time, well, here's what's crazy. I lived in Santa Cruz. I took a management position in Marin County, which was about 3 hours north of Santa Cruz. And then I temporarily moved in with my mom in Concord, which was about 90 minutes from my location of work. Oh, man. And the idea was, I'm going to go work. I'm going to go do this for a couple months, and we're going to move up. Well, after about 2 months, she's like, I don't want to move. She was unhealthily close to her mother, in my opinion. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to live 90 minutes from us. Right. To go work 90-minute drive, to then on the weekends drive back 3 hours, so that way we can spend a day and a half together. That was my marriage for the first year. Oh, man. And that's why I don't think it really, like, there was no like kind of combination.
No connection, yeah.
So I think that was really tough for me. But, with Lauren, I'm like, look, we're in a season right now, especially I didn't work in February really, like mentally like struggling to kind of like get myself back to it. Sure. I said, look, like, that's why I had 51 appointments this week or meetings. I was like, look, I'm going to go grind and finish out March. I was like, and then we're going to take a weekend. I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to grind again. And I have this commitment where I'm like, if we can go in sprints and make moments, hey, we're in a marathon, right? But at moments you're going to be able to sprint throughout those marathons and just make a little progression, a little bit more, as needed. Move ahead of the crowd a little bit more, move ahead of the crowd a little bit more, maintain, and then continue. I think it allows us to have those, communication is key. Lauren knows that right now it's sprint mode. Yeah. And then we'll take a moment. We'll have a couple days. Yep. We'll decompress, digress together, and then we'll go back to it.
Ah, dude. No, that's it though. Like communication, especially with your spouse, like, is everything. Like you have to let them know just everything that's going on, like in your work life, personal life. Like you have to be open with that and make sure you're both on the same page and going to the right place. Because it can
when you both are in real estate, right? So like, I know for us, like we have a shared calendar. So like I have my two emails that I work off of my two calendars. I usually just crisscross the meetings. That goes to a shared app, so she can see everything. Nice. But what I've learned, and we got mentored on this actually very recently in the last couple of months. Yeah. I was like, hey, like she can see. Right. But that means that you're speaking the same language. I know what you're doing. Yeah. But you're not speaking the same dialect. Right. And it was this ability to think of like, sometimes you just got to have a quick 15-minute download at the end of the day. And just kind of download like what happened. And so it's 100%. It's interesting to kind of think about it. For you guys, you're both in real estate. You both do a lot of the same stuff. Obviously, do a lot of stuff together. We've have clients with Heather. Like we have this whole mutual thing that's happening.
We're
How have you guys like managed that as like a true entrepreneurial couple.
Yeah, and it's just like everybody else does. You just kind of figure it out as you go. I'm one of those people that tends to leap before I look sometimes with my moves. And so, yeah, when I first got out of banking and decided to give this mortgage thing a try, luckily did pretty well first year doing it, well enough to have my wife always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Like when we first got married, she's like, once we have kids, she wanted me to be the breadwinner and to just raise the kids. And that was always the plan. And I was fine with that. That was what I was, totally cool with that. I want to be able to make enough to support my family where my wife doesn't have to work. And so luckily, first year in mortgage, I was able to accomplish that. She quit her job. She was working for Edward Jones at the time, she was like a processor for the, trades or whatever. So she quit that job, and then she was at home with both our kids. They were young. Like Lily was just born. She would have been a year because I quit 2 weeks before, right? Basically the week she was born was the week I quit banking and got into mortgage. So here we go. We have a brand new baby, and I'm leaving my salaried position to go to a commission only job. She about killed me. But I was like, it's going to be okay. It's going to work. We're going to figure this out. So, And so long story short, after like 3 months of her being at home, she calls me in the office one day, and she's just in tears, and she's like, I fucking hate this. like her whole life she's wanted to be the stay-at-home mom, and now that she is, she's like, I can't do this. I need a job. I need to be around people. I need to
definitely Heather.
She is a social person, and she could not be stuck with these babies all day. And she's like, I love them, but I just can't do it. And I was like, that's fine, babe. So she's like, I'm just gonna go get a job at like Target or Starbucks. I'm there half the time anyway. I was like, no, don't do that. I was like, I was working at the bank, and it was a different dynamic. It was where, I had clients walking in the door every day, and I had the database of the bank, so it was really easy to get sales because you could sit there and just dial for hours and hit 1,000 people. So I was constantly finding clients that needed realtors. And so I was like, babe, just get your real estate license, and then I can kick you a deal like once a month or something. You'll make way more doing that than you ever would at a part-time job doing Starbucks. I was like, I think you'd be good at this and you would like it. And so she, as long as, obviously ended up doing it, found a brokerage that was a good fit. And she was relentless, man. She failed that real estate exam like 14 times or something.
Whoa.
Like, it was a stupid amount of times. Like
I did not know that.
Yeah, she refused to give up. She kept missing it by like 1 or 2 questions. Like she was so mad. But anyway, finally got it done. And then it was just and then she just started killing it. Like she just started doing better than I did. And that was one of the reasons why I left the bank was because anytime she would have a client, she'd be like, oh, my husband is a lender. He works for Wells Fargo. And they're like, do you have anyone else you could refer us to? Like, it was like no one wanted to work with us because it was the bank and it sucked. Could never get loans done on time. It was a nightmare. So ultimately that's what got me to leave. And then we really started working together quite a bit. And it just kind of works. Like, she still loves to maintain her part-time status. Like she says she's part-time, but I mean, she's up there with all the top producers in her office because she's really good at just networking and connecting with people like on an emotional level. And so like, she doesn't do a lot of marketing. She doesn't go to a lot of events. She really doesn't put herself out there a whole lot, but she works so hard for each and every single individual client, no matter how big, no matter how small, like she just does so well that's what's propelled our business. Like I learned it from her more than anyone that if you just do a really good job and you treat them like family and you go to bat for them and you over communicate and you just, over deliver on everything, they remember that. And same thing, make it a big thing. We used to do these, we need to get back to it, but like anytime we would have a client close together, we would go to the house together. She put the big pink bow, we have the closing gift, we film it. Like Eric was doing those videos in the beginning and we make it this big spectacle. Like it's exciting. And we used to throw housewarming parties. We used to say, hey, that's our closing gift to you is we're gonna bring you a taco truck and a bunch of people. Just give us the guest list. We'll send out the invites. We'll handle it. And so like, creating these just wow moments for clients, that's kind of what's kept our business going, right? Like people remember that. They send their friends, their family. And so it just kind of works out. But again, because we're both, this self-employed commission sort of thing, like it's kind of nice because like, and it took a little bit, it's hard to find that balance, especially coming from when you work in like an office space, working in a bank, you're used to hours. Whereas now it's like, we might not work during the day, but this weekend we're going to be working all weekend, or we have an open house on Sunday or this. So it's just about managing those times a little bit different, and also realizing that it's okay. Like we had one day, it was like a Monday morning. I didn't have anything on the schedule. I didn't have a whole lot of work to do. She didn't have anything going on. We had worked all weekend long with showing houses and doing everything, and we were just kind of beat. And I was like, just want to hang out and watch a movie? And so we'll just come down here and watch a movie Monday morning. Kids are at school. Yeah. And it's great that we can do that. And I used to feel really bad about that. I'm like, I can't be sitting here relaxing. I should be working. But it's like, dude, it's okay. When stuff's moving, you can take a 2-hour break with your wife and watch a movie and have a good time. And so just knowing that we have those moments, we try to do, date nights and date lunches. I'll put it on my calendar, realtor meetup, and it's just, us going to lunch.
Now I know what those are for.
Yeah, exactly. Just me and the wife grabbing lunch. But no, you have to, again, the schedule's a big part of it. She's the one who's organized, luckily, and I'm not. So she puts everything on my calendar, and I'm one of those people that if it's on my calendar, I'm going to do it. So as long as she puts it on there, it gets done.
Yeah, big facts, dude. I love that, man. And that's just so one of the things that we kind of talk about is I think this kind of a concept called power couples, right? And it's kind of like I love that concept where
I hate that name.
That's I love the concept because of the fact that if you really think about it though, there's an aspect to what you guys do that a lot of people dream they wish they could.
See, right? I just feel like we're just figuring out as we go, trying to do what's
and we
best
all
for us.
are, right? Did you know how to be a parent when you first had your first kid? Everyone talks about that, obviously.
We don't know what we're doing.
Lauren, and we've talked about that too, but I think it's just important to have that, right? And Lauren right now is in her job and she likes it, but there's also some uncertainty in the fact of just some of the economics and stuff that go on. And so we've talked about, hey, by the end of this year, it'd be really good to kind of have the businesses in place to where she could stop because she is the ultimate organizer, man. She is systems and Excel sheets and processes and P&Ls and she could dial us in operationally at all levels. I couldn't even dream of doing, right? I understand the vision. And we talk about this. I'm like, well, I really want this to happen. And I could really say that. And not only that, but she's kind of a silent killer. She is crazy business savvy. That's awesome. She doesn't ever really want to do the front of the business. She'll hang out. Her and Heather can hang out at the bar and have plenty of rosé. But other than that, she's like, I'm not going to go out and be in the field. Right. But I will make sure that everything you do in your calendar is so efficient that you just do it and we're good.
Love that.
And I'm like, okay, perfect. So I think it's fun to be able to have that dynamic. And I think everyone wants that to some degree. What I've realized more and more with our clients, business partners, realtor, whatever profession you're in, everyone wants their time back.
Yeah.
It's not even a matter of how much money truly people make. It's a matter of how much time control do you have.
Time is the most valuable asset in the world.
It is, man. So that's the goal. Is how do we continue to build? How do we continue to put systems and processes in place and leverage different skill sets and execute on different things to a point where instead of owning a job, we own a system. Right. And that's the next level, I think, of what we have to finalize implementing. It's just going to take time. I agree, man. But it's exciting.
That was the original vision I brought to you, and that's why I'm here, because you understand that piece of it, that it's not just, we're not just looking for the next client and the next client after that. We're working on a system that will just make that work, but in a way that it does it to make it easier for the client. It's just, I don't know, so hard to explain in words, but it's we're finding a way, we're building something that makes our lives easier, our clients' lives easier, and we all make money doing it.
We have freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of location.
And we can show others how to do it too, which is, again, the ultimate goal. Because for me, I've always been a very money-hungry individual, unfortunately. And it was just, I think, because of how I grew up. I grew up with my grandparents because, we had my parents were going through a tough time when I was younger. We didn't have a lot of money. And so I just always had this thought in my head that I had to make as much money as possible, but with no real direction on how to do that. And what's surprising is you hear all these horrible, you hear all these stupid cliches money doesn't bring you happiness and like blah, blah, blah. And like, I used to joke around. I was like, people that say that are just broke people that have quit, you know, just only poor people say money doesn't buy you happiness. Of course it does. Like, but I will say that the year that I finally made $1 million was one of the most miserable years of my life. I was extremely out of shape. It was the worst of the worst years for me physically. I was exhausted mentally. I was just, and it was so dumb when I realized it, because I was like, fuck, they were right. Like money, I felt like I'd been working my whole life to get to this number, right? I wanted to hit this in a single year, and I finally did it, and it was just like
anticlimactic.
I was like, it was just like the moment just went, and I was like, nothing really changed. Like I still have to go out and find the next client again tomorrow. I have to do this year after year now, because this year fucking sucked. And so like it kind of threw me into kind of a weird little depression for a moment, until, you know, I snapped out of it, started focusing on my health, started realizing that again, time and other things in life were more important than money. And then also combining those two things, it's like, hey, I can find a way to still make money, but not sacrificing all of my time, all of my life, to where I'm miserable all the time. And so it's definitely a tough balance. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I feel like we're at least on the right path. We understand what we need to do. We're in the process of building it. We know that it's a long-term vision, but we're not giving up on that. It's just, you know, it's just a different kind of work, I guess. But it's a lot more fulfilling, because like we start with the right reasons. Coming here to this company was the first non-money decision I ever made. I actually am making a little less than what I was before, but I knew long-term it was going to make more sense and be better for me from a time perspective, as well as making it better for my clients too. And so I think that was a big moment for me to realize, like, you know, you can find ways to do it if you're just, again, you got to be around the right people, you got to put yourself in the right room, and it's just a constant daily battle. So. Well, that's the name of the game, dude. So.
That's it, man. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I think I'm committed to as a leader. I know as we kind of wrap up, like, I think for me, I will always be committed to my own personal development, like my own personal knowledge and things that I can learn and stuff. Because if I can continue to expand, then I can always bring back something, or I can always pull someone up into this room, or be like, you go talk to this person. And, you know, that's being a connector is something that I definitely had a skill set for. And sometimes you connect people. And a mentor might say this, he's like, I guarantee you, there's been people you've connected in your life. You said, hey, so-and-so, talk to so-and-so. I think you guys could work well together. And they actually don't see it. Yeah. But you see something that they don't even see yet. But then later on, something happens and they're like, oh my gosh, like I talked to so-and-so and this happened, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh snap, it's been 6 months since I connected you guys and something clicked. Right. And I think that's just fun. So man, there's so much positive that's going on. There's so much stuff that's going to happen. And at the end of the day too, it's like people talk about how, you know, sometimes like, oh, don't mix family and business. And I'm like, honestly, I feel like that's how we build something. You absolutely should. Absolutely. Like, that's why we build something that's a culture that makes sense. You want to surround yourself with like-minded people. And so, I'm such a huge believer of that. And I'm a big believer in energy and momentum. And I feel like we've got such a good thing going. And it's nice to know that, like, you know, again, we both came from a place where we felt like we've both plateaued. And now we're here and we feel like we've got this giant road ahead of us and there's so much to do. And it's kind of reinvigorated my love for the business, for all of it. Because it is a tough time right now. But I think if we can keep pushing forward, keep showing individuals what is possible with the ever-changing data and everything in the market, that we can all win. And that's what it's all about. So, dude, thanks for being on the show. Beautiful cocktails, bro. Thanks, man. Got a little sip left. Cheers. Thank you for watching today's episode of Happy Hour with HatchMan. If you would like to be a guest on the show, shoot me a message. I'd love to have you on. It's very casual. We can do it in person if you're local here to Arizona, or we can just do it virtually and you can make yourself a cocktail at home. But we had a great conversation with Bryce Fransen. Again, he's the branch manager of the Phoenix office at All Western Mortgage, where I work. If you would like information on how to get in touch with him, his contact information will be on the next screen as a way to get a hold of him if you're interested in mortgage or coming and working with us or anything like that. But thank you again for watching today and for listening for those of you on the podcast.